is the rhythm of change. This is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down, 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 igniting the fire within you, exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down, 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 down. So gather the faithful, tell everyone to stand and shout loud, shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, 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 down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down, 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 down. Children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down, 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 down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down, down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up, stand up, shouting loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
So anybody know the basis behind the shooting in Colorado?
So good morning, everybody. No, that's okay. Hey, I don't know. This is live and unscripted always, right? Welcome everybody to another episode of the Eric Dawson Show, and actually the Deidre Viney Day edition is fantastic. Hey, Deidre, you're looking great today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
it must be because it's close to spring break.
You know.
And guess what? I forgot to tell you this, Eric, but tomorrow is the first time that I was made a mother. My son is going to be 16 years old. I know they don't call guys sweet 16, so where do they call the boys when they turn 16? Because a girl is sweet 16. What are the boys?
Pain in the butt.
That is true.
Yeah, why wouldn't it still be, why wouldn't it still be Sweet 16?
Because I don't know if the guys want to be known as sweet. Do they want to be known as
I mean, think about the March Madness, right? The basketball. The guys are going to the Sweet 16 dance.
Well, that's a sweet state that's more of a sweet state that they're in.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So a guy, being 16 that's sweet. It's a sweet spot to be in. I don't think that it's feminine. I don't think it has to be feminine.
It is feminine, Eric.
Well, did you ever see the Blackish? Did you ever see the Blackish episode when the guy Junior was getting invited to all these bar mitzvahs, and he wanted a bro mitzvah because he wanted, when they turned 13, Jewish, in the Jewish state they have bar mitzvahs. And he was like that. He was feeling some kind of way.
Right.
He was like, I want something, and they threw him a bro mitzvah.
Right. Well, they have bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs, right? And yeah, and so I mean, I understand the distinction between the men and women, and I guess maybe that's why you're saying. So what would it be? Yeah, I remember growing up, just like part of the lexicon when I was growing up went from stuff being cool to stuff being bad, which meant it was cool, right? Men used to refer to things that were cool as things that were sweet. Yo, man, that's a sweet ride. That's a sweet this. That's a sweet that. And it had nothing to do with femininity. It had to do with the fact that it was a state of being. It was cool. It was something that...
It did have to do with femininity. Sweet, cherry, and here's the thing on the sweet. Yes, Eric. In terms of the Sweet 16 for women, it was considered that because during the Victorian era, that meant that the girl was now of age or coming of age where she would be married.
I'm not saying what. No. Listen to me. I'm not saying what sweet. You're missing what I'm saying. What Sweet 16 may have meant, right? What it may have meant. And what the word sweet means now, and we've gone through this where society has changed things from what they used to mean to having a different definition now. And what I'm saying is that we've gone through, like pink. Pink used to be something that women only wore. Now pink is something that is very fashionable for men, right? And so we've gone through that.
Usually because their wives buy their shirts. But
well, that's not true. That's not true. When I was in high school, I was rocking pink Izod Lacoste polo shirts. I was rocking pink Ralph Lauren polo shirts. I was doing that.
I didn't rock the pink until my wife let me know she was an AKA and I had to wear it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. If anybody can weigh in, I can't look in.
It's always been a feminine
We need another terminology for Sweet 16 is what's my question. Y'all taking it off to a whole nother tangent.
Yeah.
Why do you need that's what I'm saying. Why I'm gonna say that it can stay and it could be a Sweet 16 for a guy and for a woman. I don't have an issue with that.
I think for a guy it's more of a rite of passage keep it more masculine and understanding his manhood. What is he going into, and the preparedness he is to take on the world.
Yeah, see, I think that I'm more into like the gender specific. So this kind of takes it into like defining gender, right? In this thing, and I'm not about the gender piece. I'm about it's a celebration, right? Going from one time to another time and just celebrating it as a human being. So I think that sweet is fine. I don't know, that we in the woods or in the forest like Kunta Kinte was, where they were, training him to be a man. I don't know that it's that. I just think that it's a party. It's a good time, right? You've reached another stage and you've kind of moved on. Yeah.
And that's a whole different show, and I've got a lot of opinions on that. In fact,
Yeah,
I'm working on a show called "Are Black Men Getting Softer?"
Oof.
Because we have now started to bend a great deal of gender roles, and gender biases. So, are black men now strong enough to handle the new world?
So, and all right. So, does turning 16 years old, going to a sweet 16, right? Does it now render you helpless as a black man from being able to take on challenges? We'll have that conversation on another day.
There's a whole lot of yeah.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation another day. Anyway, Deidre Viney, you look very well, and I don't mean this condescending, right? But you do. You look very professional today. Sitting there.
I had a jacket on today, Eric. I'll be honest with you. I had to take. I don't know if you saw it behind my chair. It was distracting me, and I was looking at the computer, but I was sweaty, so I was like, jacket had to come off. So,
I had to give it to you, Deidre. You make professional look really good.
Thank you guys. So today I wanted to talk about outside of jobs, because I have jobs, keeping 100. We're going to talk about that in a second. But one of the things I want to talk about is how to have the right mindset when you're going for that interview.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked a lot about in prior weeks. We talked about setting an intention for yourself, right? I noticed on the feed, Eric, you called this positive affirmations. Making positive affirmations, and that's something you can do when you are looking for a job, right? Or right before you go in for the interview, you can sit in your in the bathroom. You can tell yourself you got this. You can tell yourself you are awesome. You are going to get this job. Like those positive affirmations that you know are going to get it. However, when you get into the job interview, the one key mindset you have to keep in mind is that you are there to help that person. If you go with that mindset and you always take every question back to that, right? So if the person says to you, Eric, can you please explain to me why you think you have the credentials for this position? Your answer can't be, well, I've done this. I mean, it can be. But my recommendation is you can say, well, I've done this and I've done that and I've done this and these are my credentials. Also, you can say, listen, one of the things that I know that's a key component of this responsibility is to help with the metrics within this department. And I understand that right now you're doing that job. And my job, if I was to be brought on board, would be to take that away from you and put that on my plate. Because I've got the credentials based on what I've done in my past to not only handle that role, but to handle that and others that you give me. What have you done for that manager? You have now given them a pass. You have now made their job easier. If you go in with the mindset that you're going to make that employer's job easier, you have a better chance of getting the job. Now, you're always going to tie it back to credentials, right? You can't just say, I'm the best person for the job. I can do this, I can do that, and because I'm going to be a quick learner. No. They want to know what you've done in your past that aligns itself with what you can do in the future that's going to save them time. That's going to be off their plate. That's going to make them look good.
Yep.
If you keep that mindset in place, there is no reason they would not want to hire you.
You know what? That is And I talk about it. In fact, I had that conversation last week. It's looking at it all contextually, right? And not just about me. Like you said, about me. When you're formulating your answer, if the person interviewing you can't see that you see beyond you and what it is that you're getting ready to, the job that you want to take, how it is beneficial to everybody, right, down the line. And even, because even the resumes say that, right? So the resume will say, I work cross-functionally, I do this, I do that, but then the answer doesn't reflect that, right? The answer reflects that I work in this silo in my own head, and I don't really give credence to how it may benefit or not benefit the other working parts of the organization. So I agree.
So, Deidre, you're saying that when you're going in the interview in which the narrative you control of yourself and your abilities, the narrative and that the control of the narrative is set by the tone. Your tone should not have a tone of an arrogant sense of entitlement or privilege, but it should be more like help me to help you.
Exactly, because here's the deal: people get nervous in interviews. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you fluster. And when you find that happening, if you keep this mindset in place, take it back to that. If you got to scribble it on your hand, whatever you got to do to bring it back, always direct your questions to just what you just said, Vincent. Help me help you.
Right.
And then the manager, again, you're going to back it up with credentials. It can't just be because I'm awesome and I got a cute smile. Nope, that's not going to be a good answer. It's got to be based on what I've done in the past that, they brought you in for an interview for a reason. They saw something on there. And you can ask them, what did you see on my resume that, right? And so they may share that with you or not. They might just say, you know what, I like to interview people that don't have experience in this field. Okay. But we all have transferable skills in every job that we do. Down to a cashier, to a janitor, to a manager, to an executive. There are transferable skills in everything you do, if you think about it.
So don't consider
you write it down. Even a janitor, let's keep it on a basic of a basic. A janitor not only has to keep the place clean, he has to show up on time. He has to be a team player. All those attributes are important. If you're an executive, you have to manage a team of people. You have to hire and fire. You have to set precedents in terms of strategy for the organization. So all those skills are transferable to any organization. And you need to just make sure that you can highlight that what you've done in the past and how that aligns to this organization's mission and goals and purpose, and how this manager, that typically will be the person that you're going to directly report to, how you're going to make their job look easy. Everybody wants to make their job look easier. And you're going to help that manager shine. Right. Because when they hire a good employee, that makes them look good. Nobody wants to hire a bad employee. Right. They want to hire a good employee. And if you can make them look good, they have less issues with HR, they have less issues with their own team, and now their productivity is better, their team is happier. When there's a win-win for everyone, that's when you all win.
I like the other thing you just said. I think that one of the ways that you can focus the interview is by asking the question you just asked. What did you see in me?
What skills do I have that you like? You saw that you like?
Because now you can take that, and that can be a part of how you focus the interview, right? Because if this is what they taught, if this is what they saw and what they liked, then everything can come back to, at least those two things, right? How am I helping you? Like, how is my answer communicating to you that I'm going to be of value to you? And then how is my answer to this question accentuating the thing that you saw that made you call me in for the interview, right?
Absolutely. And you're right. You can, and they should answer that question. It's a simple, easy question. And it could be as simple as, we're just putting some feelers out. We happen to interview people that have car dealership experience, for example, right? And even if it doesn't relate to their type of business, There's been a study in their organization that found that people that work at car dealerships make good employees. It could be something so simple like that, and you can say, "Wow, okay," and you can run with it. Okay, I was number one car salesperson.
Exactly.
2 years in a row. I did this, and this. I was number one employee. Like, you can tie it back to credentials, and then the bow on top is how it ties into the job to help this manager.
Yep. That's great.
You gotta always tie the bow in. Even if they don't ask it directly, you can control the narrative about an interview. And I can't stand it. Oh, my biggest pet peeve, Eric, my biggest pet peeve is when I say to an interviewer, I say, okay, do you have any questions? Oh, no. I think you answered everything. No! Oh. Biggest pet peeve. Never, ever. Even if they answer everything, think of another question. Or use it as an opportunity to summarize your skills, your qualifications, and why they need to hire you. Leave that as their last thing that they hear from you before you leave. And then follow it up when you sit in the lobby, like I talked about a couple weeks ago. You're going to have that thank you note already with a stamp on it with the person's name and address, because you're going to sit in the lobby or sit down in your car. You're going to write a handwritten thank you note telling them why you're the best person for a job. You're going to slap it in an envelope. You're going to put it in the mail downstairs so they'll get it within 2 days. No one's doing this because people are lazy.
I used to leave it with the receptionist.
Even better.
It's within 2 hours.
People are lazy. They don't want to follow up. They don't want to go the extra mile. And those will be the ones sitting home on unemployment.
That's right. So again, you want to keep it in his mind to the win-win is a minimum maximum. It's a minimum effort for him to help you, but maximum is the efforts in you helping them.
Absolutely. And I love the idea of leaving it at the receptionist. But you know what? I sort of like to mail it, Vincent. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I got a thank you note in the mail, and I have it up here. I took it down. I had it up here for a really long time. I took it down on my board. I got a thank you letter in the mail. I got one at home. You guys are both my Facebook friends. I posted a picture of it the other day. This is a friend of mine. She lives down the street from me. She could have just dropped it in my mail slot. But she slapped an envelope and put a stamp on it, and it circulated through my town to get back to me. And she could have just walked it over. Mm-hmm. But my point is this: is sometimes that for me is an extra mile. The extra mile goes a long way in making an impression on someone. And so even my internal team here, when I have a sales rep out, I tell them every interaction you have with a person you've met live, you write them a handwritten thank you note. And we don't just do it on a simple sheet of paper. You can send an email, and I'm not against an email. If that's going to work for you, do it. However, I'm saying the extra mile is you're going to sit down, you're going to write it on some very nice stationery. We have express stationery with our names on it. You're going to put it in an envelope that goes for stationery. You're going to mail it, and then because no one's doing this, you will stick out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the concern that I would have about leaving it with the receptionist is the genuineness of it, right? So if you left it with the secretary, if you walked out of the interview and an hour later my secretary hands me something that you wrote, then I would assume that you pre-wrote that, right? And so the thoughtfulness of the note would be in question for me, right? Whether you really embraced the interview, and so whatever was in there, whether, like I said, whether it was pre-contrived or whether it was thought through. If it goes through the mail, I get it a few days later, right? Now I'm not thinking about when you wrote it, right? I got this thing, it happened, and like Deirdre said, I think that it just kind of says, wow, this person, went this extra mile and thought about the interview and thought about everything, and so the words in there are reflective of
that. That is one point.
No one's getting mail anymore, believe it or not.
Yeah.
People aren't getting mail. Mail is down tremendously, as we all know. And it's been like that party. When was the last time you guys got an actual birthday? I had just had a birthday, so I got a ton of birthday cards in the mail. And I was so touched because people don't send cards anymore either. They send electronic birthday cards, which is nothing's wrong with that. But I'm just saying it's so special to get mail now that's not billed other show that's
That's the only mail I get. Everybody else emails me or texts.
To me, I feel special, and I feel like the person kind of went out their way, even if it was for his job. They went out their way to thank me for the interview. Maybe they highlighted a couple things that we talked about in the interview, which made me tell them they were paying attention. And then they also, reiterated why they're the best person for the job. That's huge to me, because no one's doing it. Out of those 10 interviews, I can assure you probably one might, and that's a might do it.
Right.
Well, for me, in sitting down at the receptionist, writing down while it's still fresh on my mind the points of the interview, the points of the narrative that I'd like to direct, and leaving it there, it gives, one, attention to detail. Two, it gives the interviewer a sense of you are not mediocre. You're willing to go that extra step. You're willing to see things to completion. The problem that they have is that there are so many people who are mediocre, who rely upon mediocrity, playing it safe. And to stand out, you have to be above the fray.
I agree, and I'm not against that. I actually, now that you explain it that way, Vincent, the reason I think that it could be differently than what Eric said is you're going to highlight some of the things that were in the interview. Yeah. So then and that person knows that it's not a pre-planned letter that you just slap and gave to the reception on your way out the door. Yeah. And so that can be pretty effective as well.
To Eric's point, everything we do has a level of meditation or contrived. And I mean, there are some points that you can bring in that are more contrite and actually sitting down while you are still in that moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I like but I will tell you this, and I just hope your listeners are listening, because no one's doing it. Mm-hmm. They're not doing it. They barely send thank you emails after an interview. I can 100% attest to that. Maybe 10%.
No. Let's go deeper.
Email.
Let's go deeper.
Email.
Let's go deeper. They barely say thank you in person when you're doing something for them.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's all about, and I don't know where the memo got out about thank you notes are not important. I still have an opening right now for my internal team, because there's one particular person I was going to hire would really show red flags right from the beginning when I gave the offer letter, and I was like, I can't see red flags from the beginning. So I assure you that people aren't doing this. So if you're listening and you have a cousin, uncle, nephew, niece, mama, daddy looking for a job, and I would just this needs to be dinner talk conversation, because people aren't doing it, and they're not doing, and they're still getting jobs. Let's keep it 100. People still need to hire people, but if you want to go the extra mile and you understand how competitive a particular job might be, why not set yourself apart? Right first, having those positive affirmations in the bathroom before you go into, check your makeup if you're a lady, check your hair if you're a guy, whatever. And then you're going to go in with this mindset that my job is to help you look better, to help you get stuff done. If you go in with that mindset, constantly remembering every answer needs to direct back to that, and then leave that facility with your beautiful stationery that you're going to either handwrite in the lobby and hand it to that receptionist, or you're going to handwrite it in your car or the lobby and slap a stamp on it and mail it immediately, so that it's out of your brain. The thank you emails are great too, but this goes the extra mile. Hey, you can do both if you really want to be aggressive. Send an email as well.
Here's a question that I have for you, and it's what if you really have bad handwriting?
That's a very good point.
And you really have somebody else write it for you.
Can you print it? Because if your handwriting is your handwriting horrible cursive, or printed, or both? Because typically people have terrible cursive handwriting.
I have horrible handwriting, and my handwriting started getting bad the more I was able to type, and then I relied more on typing, right, and distributing, correspondence that way, and so like a long written. I don't know the last time I wrote more than 100 words handwritten. I don't know the last time I've done that.
You know, with my son doesn't have the best handwriting either. This was an issue we addressed like in 4th grade. I was like, ooh. And that's when they were starting to learn cursive. And I was telling him how cursive is going to be easier. He was not hearing me. So thankfully, I at least told him he needs to learn how to sign a check. So with him, he was also not the best speller. I think those creative brains too. That might have something to do with that right-left brain. So we relied heavily on spell check and typing. Now back to the point of this handwritten letter. I think what Vincent was saying was that you can have someone else write it for you. You know, and I if that's your challenge, and we all have to overcompensate for challenges that we have in life. So now you have to put the onus on yourself. You have to go home. You have to ask someone that you know has halfway decent handwriting. Some people's handwriting are actually too pretty. You ever have a handwriting that's too pretty?
Yeah.
I don't want that. Because then it really doesn't look like you. It looks like you went home and you asked your wife, "Can you write this for me?"
Right.
You know. So if you get a too pretty handwriting, and then there's also a difference between some guys and women's handwriting. I can tell the difference. So maybe you go home and you ask your buddy who has halfway decent handwriting, "Hey, this is my words. Can you just I'm gonna type it for you. Can you just write it in this note real quick? Take you 3 minutes to do it." And then you take that same beautiful stationery and do the same exact thing and pop it in the mail immediately, because you will forget.
Right.
That's why I like doing it as soon as you leave the interview, because then you won't forget.
But I think it is important, though, right? Because it is about impressions. And so if you have horrible handwriting, don't write it. Don't write it.
Exactly. You know, back when, I don't know if it's still a big deal, but back when I had friends getting married, I would get a calligraphy, a wedding invitation. And I was like, I called my friend, I said, who did this? She said, Deidre. She had to pay per envelope. I was like, wow.
Wow.
So some folks are just gifted. That is not my superpower.
It is not my strong suit. And like, seriously, if I wrote you a letter, you probably, I mean, I guess if I really took my time and, you know, but if I gave you something that's in my tear sheets,
Well, that was one of the things that I found out about our son, is that when he rushed, it looked atrocious.
Yeah.
Still to this day, when he rushes, we always know the difference between rushing and taking your time.
Right.
When you rush, everything looks sloppy.
Yeah.
You're not going to be rushing. You got time. The interview's over. You're relaxed. You just sit down and write you should have some of your thoughts might already be crafted ahead of time. That you can have already written down, right? And now you're just adding maybe a sentence or two that highlights about the particular job, and maybe something you guys discussed in the interview. So essentially, now that I think about it, you can pretty much have the thing written for you ahead of time.
Right. So now the other thing, now that weather is breaking, right? When we were talking in the winter months or in the fall months about, you know, the attire that you should wear at an interview. Now that the weather's getting warm, people become a little more risque.
Eric, that is a whole show that requires visuals. Like, I'm going to need to share my screen. I'm keeping it 100. I'm going to need to share my screen, because that is also a class I've taught in terms of how to dress appropriately. And we're not just talking outfits. We're talking facial hair. We're talking earrings. We're talking nails. We're talking, you know, we can keep it on the basic. We're just talking about clothing, because that right in and of itself is very important. But that requires visuals, I think. And I think that's an awesome show for another time.
And now, I want to ask you this question too.
You can glance it.
Will you have models?
People need visuals when it comes to that. Like in my employee manual, you know how you ever have eat this, not that? We have a wear this, not that in my employee manual.
Now, are there certain colors that you would, for men and women, that you would suggest they shy away from, and colors that, whether it's a suit or a dress or a pantsuit for women, that...
there was a whole article on this a while ago. And one of the suggestions that the article made was to keep it simple, right? You want yourself to be highlighted. You don't necessarily want to show up in a red suit. However, there are some beautiful, wonderful, powerful looking red suits. So I don't want someone to forget their personality in an interview when they're going for an interview.
But you're talking about red suit for women, not for men.
Correct.
Okay.
No. My uncle has a red suit. Let me tell you. And he wore it to one of my graduations from someone in the family, and I was like, ooh. So for women, I think it's important to keep it as simple as it can, but feel comfortable. Like, I don't suggest you go out and buy a brand new suit. Wear what you have that you think you can pull together that's going to be simple and comfortable, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want your suit to be loud and distract from what you're saying.
Right.
That's what you don't want to happen. You don't want them staring at your fabulous outfit, and they're so distracted by that they're not listening to you.
Right.
That you don't want to happen. Or they're going to say, "Oh, how expensive is that? You don't even need this job because that suit looks expensive."
Right.
So keep it simple, as they say. However, let your personality shine. Like, if you like to wear pins, I heard brooches are in. But if you like to wear brooches as a woman, wear it. If you like to wear beautiful jewelry, I'm not distracting from that. However, just keep in mind, and every industry is different. Eric, you're in a creative world.
Mm-hmm.
Some folks can get away with piercing of various parts of their body, including face, and others, it might be frowned upon.
Right.
And so you want to be cognizant of that in your surroundings, because if you're not in that creative field and you do have a piercing on your cheek, let's say, do you wear it to the interview, or do you take it out just for the interview and put it back in when you get home?
Yeah.
That's a decision you have to make.
I had that conversation with my daughter.
Just be conscious of just keeping it simple so that you don't stand out and get the job first. You can go wear your red suit on the first day of work. How about that?
Yeah, I had that conversation about piercings with my daughter. She has, and I posted the picture, so you've seen Lucy. She's got the nose ring, right? So when she got that nose ring, she's got tons of tattoos too, right? But she got the nose ring, and I was like, "What'd you do? What'd you do?" And then she said to me, she goes, No, Daddy. If I go on interviews, she said, I could just push it up and you can't see it. And she did, and you couldn't see it. She said, so I thought about that. She said, so, it comes down, but you can put, but she thought about it. And that's all you can ask. And so now.
Some folks don't think about it, Eric. I'll be honest with you. Some folks will have a big old tattoo on their neck. I can visually see, and nothing's wrong with tattoos, to each his own. I personally have none. I'm just not into permanent things, but others have lots of tattoos. But just keep in mind the opinions someone may form immediately before you open your mouth, based on what you have on your body. That is visually.
And they have a right to form, and we have to understand that they have a right to form an opinion.
Exactly.
Right, and I think that we
different. They might be like, oh, that's a dope tattoo.
Right.
And you might get the job because you have a really fantastic tattoo, and they too have a tattoo.
Not if you have a tattoo that says "F your mama."
Well, but you could have something that's if you have a tattoo on your neck. So my cousin says to me, he says when he sees a tattoo on someone's neck, it says to society, I've just given up.
I'm on my own.
I didn't believe that, because I know in the creative space, a lot of people have tattoos. They have lots of piercings. And if that's what you wanted to do, you wanted to be outward with your tattoo on your neck, which it's really hard to cover up a tattoo on your neck, particularly in the summer. You can wear a turtleneck like I have one today in the winter or fall, but come summer, you might want to wear a t-shirt, and now tattoo is on full display, and you can't cover it up. And so just keep that in mind as you go about your life, because there are certainly ways to cover. I mean, now they have makeup for all kinds of things, right? When I got married almost 20 years ago, my sister, who was my maid of honor, had a giant tattoo on her back. Now you would say, Deidre, who cares? It's on your back. Well, I cared, because it was my day, and I didn't know how the camera was going to be shooting pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And if she had a turtle, of all things, a green turtle on her back. I said to her, I love you. However, this is my day, and Dermablend shout out to Dermablend or whatever product you use.
Any of those deep foundations
is a wonderful cover-up for your tattoo. I would really appreciate it if you would do that. And she did. And I had someone else at my bridal party who also had a tattoo. And I didn't even have to ask her. She said, Deidre, I already got the Dermablend. It matches perfectly. I'm doing it, girl. This is your day. It's about honoring you and your husband. And I don't want my stupid, silly tattoo to be any kind of distraction or frustration for you. So think of it the same way when you're looking for a job. Is that you just don't, it can be a distraction. And no one likes distractions.
And it can get in your way. It can cause you to fail. So why do you want to defeat yourself?
Right. And then sometimes to your point that things speak before you even open your mouth.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it says what you wear says a lot about you, the same way as what you put on your face, the same way as what you smell like. Oh my God.
Oh God. That's a whole nother show. I can't tell you the number of men and women who left my office after an interview and the perfume or cologne they wore is lingering 3 days later. I mean, it's like I got to go through my office with sage to try to get it cleaned out. And then literally, I'm telling you, when you talk about a distraction, Deidre, this is serious.
It
is a huge one because you know what was going through my mind when those things happen? Do I want that every day? And the answer was no. And so all of a sudden, I wasn't even thinking about their qualification. I was like, there's no way I would be able to have that person come into my office for a meeting and then me have to go through this ritual of cleansing my office every day. Yeah.
Or Eric, how about this? Because I'm in the business of supporting people and meeting them where they're at, right? Many times I've done this. And obviously it depends on the situation, it depends on the person. But I would say to this person, I had a very uncomfortable conversation about body odor one time. And I would say to the person in the most loving way, I really like your credentials. However, the perfume or cologne you're wearing is a distraction. I have a very sensitive nose. And unfortunately, if you want to work here, you are not going to be able to wear anything. Are you going to be okay with that?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I never thought to have those conversations. I just...
If that perfume or cologne was that important to them over a job, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Then they can exit rear because I have the same problem, Eric. I have a very sensitive nose. And if you come into my office and you have perfume on and my eyes start watering, we got a problem. We got a massive problem.
Yeah.
So let's just get it out the way at the beginning. I mean, I've had situations where I've sent an associate to a very high level role for a major investment bank. And the hiring manager called me afterwards. She said, Deidre, I couldn't even last 5 minutes. The person's perfume was so strong that I could not breathe. And I had to dismiss the interview. So I am no longer considering her for the job.
Wow. See, I'm telling you.
They couldn't even get past the smell and get you to talk. And if you don't realize that, then someone in your family is not being truthful with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all have to have consultants, right, in our family and in our friend circle, and we have to have those folks who are not afraid to tell you the truth, right? And we should want that because we want to step out of ourselves and into the real world, right? Being able to, as Vincent said, not get in our own way. And block blessings. you block your blessing with your smell goods,
or smell bads, or especially like my daughter works in Victoria's Secret, so when she goes to work, it's like she took a shower in that cheap Victoria's Secret perfume. It drives me crazy. I can't wait to get her out of the house. So, yeah, you don't want that to be your lasting impression.
Other thing, cigarettes. See, right? I mean, you have people who are smokers, and most office buildings now you can't smoke in them. But it's not so much about smoking in them, right? It's about the smoke that's on you, right? And so people who smoke in their car on the way to an interview, and so they get out and they just
I smell like a pack of Newport.
Yeah.
So this is when you have to have an honest conversation with yourself, because smokers, you know who you are.
Yeah.
Smokers, they make this thing called Febreze now, which I love, because I do not smoke. However, my cousin owns a cigar bar, and I had to go support them. It was their grand opening, and I said, I told her, I said, this is the one and only time I'm ever coming here. I'm not coming back. I left my coat in the car on purpose. I wore something that I could easily throw in the washing machine that didn't require dry cleaning. So the reverse of that is this. I also had Febreze, the Ultra. Apparently there's an Ultra Febreze. I had the Ultra Febreze in my car as well. So when I came out of the grand opening, and I was only there for about an hour. And again, I don't smoke, but everybody around me was smoking. I came out, I Febreze myself. Even my pocketbook smelled.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, really? I didn't even think about that. I would have left my pocketbook in the car. My pocketbook held the odor much longer, and it's really challenging to get a smell out of leather. So I say that for you smokers, and you know who you are, and you know what you do. Keep that in mind and I am even more than perfume, Eric, is the cigarette smell. So if you know that you are going in for an interview, particularly you don't know if the person's going to close their door or not. And remember, we're all still wearing masks, right? But your body has it on your clothes. Keep in mind that Febreze needs to be your friend, or something similar to that. It needs to be your friend that you spray, but you got to be conscious of that. I'm going to take a
See, I would say, and I know smoking is a...
Now you smell like Febreze, and now
right.
my eyes are...
But what I'm going to say is this, because I've done it. I'm telling you guys. Because you now smell like smoke. When you sit in my chair in my office, when you leave, my chair smells like smoke. And it's one more thing that I have to think about. So I can't stop you from smoking in your car on your way to work. But if I hire you, that means you're going to be smoking in your car on the way to work. And so when I call you into my office for a meeting, I got to think about having to wipe my chair down. I mean, this is just real. I mean,
Yeah,
and so
I get it.
And that person can argue, well, I have a right to smoke, but you want a job. Right? You want a job. And now what you want, and go back to what Deirdre said earlier, how can you help me? Right? And so you smoking and then sitting in my chair and then having me have to wipe my chair down because you want to smoke isn't helping me. Right? It's a hindrance to me, and it's one more thing that I don't need on my plate. And so as talented as you might be, right? As pristine as your resume might be, as fantastical as your note that you either gave to my receptionist when you left or mailed to me might have been, I'm going to remember the stench that was in my chair. That's just the truth.
Yeah, so that particular instance, I mean, we can all fake it till we make it, right? And so maybe that's the day you decide I'm not going to smoke.
Or I'm not going to smoke until after the interview.
Yeah, do that, right? But you can't impose your things on other people, right? And that's the thing. So, yeah, I think this is all good stuff, and if people need to, take heed of it, to give themselves the best opportunity to get a job and to keep a job.
You brought up a good point, Eric. So I'm not going to be on for the next 2 weeks because it's spring break. But I did tell you that I think the class of not class, but a segment on what to wear, what not to wear, would be a nice one to show visuals.
Oh, we can do that. So we'll set that show up, right? And then if you send me the visuals, Deirdre, like you see our split screen, right? So I can tighten our split screen in and then have another area, and then I can put up the different outfits, right? So, and then
I can't promise you it's going to be in 2 weeks. However, I can promise you it'll happen.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like my daughter when I asked her to clean her room.
Exactly. So I do have some jobs I want to talk to you about.
Yes.
They have changed between last week and this week. One of the...
Well, let's start there. Here, did you fill any of the jobs from the last couple of weeks?
I did. We have been very, very busy.
Excellent.
So right now, I have 22 seems to be the number. I feel like I had 22 last week. But these are 22. Some of these are the same, but a lot are different.
Okay.
I see some dates of 3 323. Is that today? Yeah, we just got 4 job orders that I was talking to you guys.
Oh wow.
I got one. I got an inventory clerk admin role. That one is here in Jersey City. For a really exciting company. I called this company for about 15 years. And he just called me back, which is great. And they also need a general warehouse person. Same company, really easy location to get to, right in Jersey City. I also have 2 roles in Newark. These are compounder roles. You need to have forklift experience, second shift and third shift. Those two particular positions, you need to have a background check and drug testing done prior to starting. So even though they came in today, they'll probably start sometime next week. Those are the ones that just came in today. Yesterday came in a general pick and pack position. That's in Newark. Also came in yesterday was a forklift driver, also in Newark. We're looking for recycle helpers. This one is in Bayonne. It's an early start at 5 a.m. So if you're early bird and you live in the Bayonne area, we want to talk to you. We have a customer service rep. This came in a couple days ago in Newark. Easy location to get to as well. We have a data entry clerk position that came in a couple days ago, also in, oh no, that's not in Newark. That's in Bayonne. We have a general warehouse machine operator position. That's in Newark. We have a project coordinator. Interestingly enough, it's a work from home position. That is in work from home, wherever you want to live. We have a receptionist bilingual in Spanish. That one is also in Newark. We have an AR clerk. That one is in Bayonne. We have a virtual admin assistant. You can live anywhere in the country. Administrative assistant, virtual, really good pay actually. That one is wherever you want to live. And then lastly, we have a part-time data entry clerk. That one is here in Jersey City. So as you can see, we have a lot of different jobs. These are all came in within the last week when I was talking last week. Mm-hmm. Our jobs come in literally every single day. Like I said, we got 4 that just came in literally as I was on the phone, as I'm talking to you guys right now. So we're very, very busy. You can find us at expresspros.com/Jersey City. If you want jobs in Jersey City, Bayonne, Kearney, Newark areas. If you live outside of those areas, you can reach out to us, just our normal website, expresspros.com. You can actually go to our app as well. You can put in your address, and it will show you the express office nearest you. All of our jobs in each location is very different. Mm-hmm. Although I'm mentioning to you jobs right now that is only specifically for my office in Jersey City, the offices in other cities will have completely, sometimes similar, but sometimes very different jobs. So you want to reach out to them and see if they have a job that would fit you.
Perfect.
Anything else?
No, I think that is great.
So they still get the $50, right?
Oh, thank you for the $50. So it is my 25 Express Effect. If you have a friend, you want to get that cousin off your couch, you want to get your son out that bedroom or that basement, or you just need a job yourself. Refer a friend for $25. If your friend works 80 hours, that's when you get the $25, and then they also get $25. And then we're hoping that this will make you guys all Express ambassadors. There is no limit to amount of referrals you can give us within a period of time. So please keep referring your friends and family and neighbors, associates. Hashtag us on our website, our Facebook page. We are Express Pros JC on Facebook or Express Pros Jersey City. And so we hope that we can get everyone working. Our jobs are not all temp. I know that's a big thing that people think, that our jobs are temp. Most of the jobs I just mentioned to you are temp to hire. So keep that in mind. You do have to prove yourself and go to work. But there's an opportunity to get hired full-time with the company. Even with Express, we do pay for your health insurance. So take that into consideration. We also pay because of the New Jersey Sick Pay Act, which we adhere to, up to 5 days sick pay. So we love to be able to help you or anyone that you know. I'm happy to have you on the show with Eric. It's been almost a year, Eric. I think it's a year next week.
I know. This is great.
And I'm also I did want to plug my organization, the Organization for Domestic Violence Survivors in the state of New
I got to
Jersey.
get my tickets.
I'm on the board of directors. I think you're going to have them on the show on Thursday, right?
Yes.
Eric? So they'll be on the show on Thursday. I will make sure that she has some literature about our Comedy for a Cause she can share again with you guys on Thursday. But it's a wonderful organization. As you know, nonprofits are constantly fighting for government funding. And so we're trying to have this public-private partnership, which would not just rely on government funding, although we do get that. We need the private, industries as well as individuals to support this mission of this organization to help women and their families achieve self-sufficiency by leading safe and productive lives.
Right.
And your $35 to support this cause that I am champion on April 16th. I know everyone's zoomed out. I know no one wants to do anything virtual, but the pandemic is not over, and you can have a great time. We are partnering with four restaurants, 2 in Jersey City, 1 in Newark, and 1 in Orange, that you can order your food from. I will have the link for that. I just finalized that on Friday. So I'm still working out the particulars. I want to get their logo and a couple things onto the website. So that once you buy your ticket, rest and trust and believe, I will get that information in your hands so that you can have a night in by yourself with your honey, with your kids, because it is a family-friendly comedy show. You don't have to worry about curse words or sexual innuendos. It's a family event, or even if your kids don't want to be bothered, like my 15, almost 16-year-old, at least if they're walking by, you don't have to turn the volume down.
Right.
So you can have a great time inside, order some food. One of the restaurants actually has a sangria that you can order, apparently, because they have a liquor license. So you can order their sangria.
Oh, wow.
You can have a wonderful night in. Eric's Grandma Emma's peach cobbler will be available for sale at least one of the restaurants, Bentley's, New Jersey. So it's a night in. It's supporting the good cause. I'm not asking for a big ass, but if there's one chance, Vincent, you have $2,000 you want to give me, I'm happy to take it. We're still looking for sponsorships at a corporate or individual level.
I think it's fantastic. I'm going to make sure we get our ticket. We're going to do our part to be supportive of it, and laugh our asses off. we all need to, right?
So it's funny because the woman that does it, my husband and I did it in December when we supported another friend who did the same thing, and she was trying to raise money for Chromebooks for East Orange Public Schools.
Okay.
And we laughed like we were at a comedy show, which we were, but like at home. You don't think, oh, it's like TV. No, it's not. It's live. The person can see you if you want to put your camera on. And he was making fun of our Black Santa because I had my Christmas tree up. It was right before Christmas. And we laughed, and he made fun of us, and we had a great time. And you could have turned the camera off, but a lot of people had theirs on. So they were, almost like you're sitting in the front seat of a comedy club. You never sit in the front seat, right?
Right.
It was all like we were all in the front seat. Like he went through the Zoom and he was picking out people, which made it fun because we could also see the same people.
Sure. Oh, that's funny. That's great.
So it really made it really intimate, even though we're all in our own respective homes. And because of that experience I'm using the same organization, Thou Shall Laugh is her name of her organization, Aja James, and she's a comedian herself. She brings 3 comedians and a DJ. $35? You can't even get a deal like this.
Sure.
If you're going to New York City. The clubs aren't open, and they're not opening anytime soon. You guys have been to those comedy clubs in New York City. They're small. And I can't see them opening anytime this year, unfortunately. So why not bring this laughter into your house? We all need to laugh, right? We all could use
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so this is a great way for us all laugh together and to support a great cause. So
I'm looking forward to it.
I hope that you guys will all get your ticket. I'll happily put the link into the feed
Yes.
after I'm done. And thank you again for allowing me my 10-second commercial.
No worries. Deidre, thank you so much. And like Deidre said, guys, she'll be gone on spring break. Party like a rock star. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
You too. Bye-bye.
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 So, Mr. Squire, that was great information, man. You know.
No, teacher's always a wealth of information.
Hey, man, listen, top notch, brother, top notch. You before we got her on to prep for the show this morning, you were talking about the Colorado shooting.
The Colorado shooting. Oh yeah.
You know, I was watching the news this morning, and you know they were going back to all of the different mass shootings in Colorado. Whether we're talking about Columbine, talking about the theater shooting, a bunch of other ones, and they said that with all the horrific shootings that have taken place, mass shootings that have taken place in Colorado, Colorado ranks 5th. They're not even number 1 in terms of mass shootings.
Well, let's see. It's the second shooting that we had within a week. It is the, I believe, 8th or 9th shooting that we had this month.
Yeah, but they still don't rank number 1. Like that is the scary part of this.
Well, no, because we've got so many people who are better at mass destruction than everybody else. But the thing is not the fact that it doesn't rank number 1. It's the fact that we have now went into a point of escalation of senseless shootings, deaths, horrible things, and they still have not figured out why this guy decided to do it or his actual reason. But part of healing the souls of America is, reaching out to some of these people who have already had issues before this pandemic, that now the pandemic and the results of it has, accelerated it. And, I mean, mental health is real in our country, and we need to do better. We are losing our humanity on such a daily basis. That is not even funny.
Yeah, I mean, certainly mental health is an issue, but I'm with all of those people who are listening right now and saying, "Wow, when it's a white guy, mental health is the thing that comes to mind."
Yeah.
You understand? So,
also the race that comes into play. See, when a gunman comes down and shoots up a group of people from another race. Oh, well, it was a race thing, it was hate, but when a gunman comes down and he shoots up a bunch of white people, we need gun laws!
Yeah. Yeah. So, just continue to pray for those folks, as they heal, families who lost loved ones, right? The trauma. I'm always at the trauma, right? And people don't speak enough about the trauma that a community suffers, that families suffer when something like this happens. And is there adequate care to deal with the trauma? Because all of these people who are traumatized get scattered to the four corners of, society, right? And nobody thinks anything about it. And I wonder whether there's any contact tracing back ever, right, to trauma, right? To go, okay, these things that are happening, these things that happen somewhere along the line, right? And then maybe there wasn't the intervention that there should have been at the stage that there should have been, which allowed the trauma to metastasize into these other areas. But we need to pay attention to that too. Not just the incident, but the trauma. Listen, I spoke to, as I said, Sheila Montague yesterday. I had a long conversation with her. So I have clarification. The clarification is she chose. See, I was under the impression yesterday that she didn't choose, that she didn't have a choice, that the party machine chose for her. The fact of the matter is that she was asked, as were all of the other candidates running, do you want to run for the 3-year term. Wait a minute. Let me back up. For those of you who weren't a part of yesterday's show, Sheila Montague is a candidate running for the Newark School Board of Education. Sheila Montague is a long time community activist, who has run several times for Board of Education as well as council seats in the city of Newark. And Sheila has a base of support. She averages around 1,700 votes every election that she runs in. But 1,700 votes is not enough to get you over the hump. What's needed in Newark is around 55 to 5,800 votes, somewhere around there, to secure a seat on the Board of Education. But she does garner 1,700 votes. And so in this election, when we were talking to Jody Pittman yesterday, the concern was that she was pit against a Hispanic woman who's also running to fill the former board member Taif Padilla, who died while in office, to fill that seat, and that her going against this Hispanic woman, that it's fait accompli, that the Hispanic woman is going to win the election, right, in a one-on-one. But if Sheila was in a pool of candidates, given the fact that she typically secures about 1,700 votes, and in doing so, she's usually the fourth highest vote getter, right? If she was pooled like that, and if they ran the election like that, then she would be the fourth highest vote getter, thereby taking Tave's seat, or being able to win Tave's seat. But it doesn't work like that. The way that it works is you have two separate elections, right, which we talked about yesterday. So my only question was whether or not Sheila was forced into that second election, which was to fill Tave's seat, or whether or not the candidates had an opportunity to choose which election that they wanted to participate in. And according to Sheila, she did have the choice, and she chose to run for to fill the vacancy in the last bit of that term.
Well, thank you very much. That's what I was saying yesterday, and if that way she was forced into it, it would have been by different ways. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
What is she going to do? What is her next move?
Well, there is no next move. She's running the election that she entered into, right? So, but I like I said, I just wanted to make sure, because, if it had been the way that it was portrayed, then there would have been, some legal ramification to it, right?
Of course, because they can't put.
They can't decide to put you in a race that you haven't chosen to go into. Absolutely.
Right.
All right. So I wish Sheila good luck in the race. And we'll see how it all folds out. It's usually the second week in April, so they have very limited time. They have very limited time.
You can't be like us, the rest of us.
Excuse me, got a cable issue, Wi-Fi issue here. Kind of break it up.
Come on.
Was that you, Vincent? Oh, okay. So the next thing that I wanted to have a conversation about, and I got sent this. I don't know if you got sent it, Vincent. Chicago. There's a town, and I want to get the town correct. So let me pull it up in my phone. There is a town or city rather, in Chicago, Evanston, that, and I'll read the headline to you. It said, Evanston passes first in-nation reparations. Right? That is the headline. And my concern about it, and it was a concern expressed by one, and that legislation passed 8-1, by the way, in Evanston, to give reparations. So the actual headline reads, Chicago suburb passes first in-nation reparations for black residents. And so what it comes down to is that they have a 400 million. No. Is it a 400,000 to be distributed to residents. So $400,000 to be distributed to residents who can prove that they were affected, or they are part of a lineage that was affected from 1919 to 1969 in Evanston, Chicago, that they were affected by racial, unfair, bias laws that prevented them through redlining and other means from amassing wealth through home ownership. Right? So this reparations is limited to home repair, being able to get a mortgage or pay a mortgage, those kinds of things. And so one of the dissenting voice on the council was concerned that it was limiting, right? That it did not allow for folks to use that money in a manner that they saw fit based on the repair they believe was needed in their own individual life. So no self-determination, right, is attached to this. Did you happen to read that article, Vincent?
I'm reading it now.
Oh, okay. Cool beans. And so in there, and so here's a piece in the article. It says, the money will be distributed in the amounts of up to $25,000. Applications will be available by midsummer. At the earliest, Evanston voted in 2019 to create a reparations fund and has committed $10 million from cannabis sales taxes to that effort. And so this is what the councilwoman who does dissenting voice, she said, rather than reparations dictating to black people what they need and how they will receive it, we need to listen more to the people, she said. There is no autonomy for the community that was harmed. Instead of cash payments or other options that respect the humanity and self-determination of black people and allow them to determine how best to repair themselves, the housing program is restrictive. Right? And then one person, and we always got to be careful when we use quotes, right? So Alderman Peter Brathwaite recognized the initial plan's limited use, but applauded the program as, and this is the quote, our first step. He said future usage of the $10 million fund could include cash payments, he said. And then another person who attended the meeting, a longtime resident, said that she was really disturbed by so many of the individuals who are against it. She said, this is not reparations for the country and chattel slavery. It's just a way for the city to recognize that there were discrepancies in housing, and this is a way that we can give back into the black community. And then what they talked about in the quote was that that this is just a first step, and that taking so it says the wisdom of the ages says that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Right? I'm so very proud of Evanston. Right? So though the wisdom says, and I think that maybe we need to add and have an amendment to that. Right? Says that the journey to 1,000 miles begins with a first step, but it's a first step in the right direction. Right? So we want to just make sure that we're making a step in the right direction. Not that we're not making a first step, but whether we're making a step in the right direction. Because if I'm going west, right, and if I intend to go west, but I go east, then my first step extends the distance, right? So it's no longer 1,000 miles, right? It becomes longer because I took a step in the wrong direction. So if you're going to take 1,000-mile journey, the first step should be in the right direction. So it's in fact 1,000-mile journey, not 1,001-mile journey. And I think that's what some of the other people were saying, that we should take steps, right? But we should take right steps.
Well, okay. I'm going to take the Diane approach to this, and I'm hoping that this does her well. $10 million in 10 years is not a step in the right direction.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. This isn't even a Band-Aid over a laceration. This is when they just give you toilet paper to stop the bleeding.
One ply toilet paper too.
yeah. They gave you that cheap Scotch paper.
That no frills. No, not even the no frills paper.
No frills. All right. Okay. It's a step. I guess the biggest step in taking it is to acknowledge it. But the other biggest step is finding actual, true reparations. And what they're talking about reparations, this isn't a step of.
But here becomes here's a challenge, Vincent, right? And this is what I think some of them are concerned about too. If you attach the word reparations, see, because you could begin to dilute the word reparations.
Reparations, exactly.
Right? We can begin to dilute it, guys, by attaching it to frivolous things like this. Right? And then you give the people on the other side the opportunity to go, well, so yeah, that was reparations. Right? And here's my biggest concern. You have people who have for decades studied reparations. They've studied it. Right? They've got actual numbers attached to it based on the harm done. And so my concern is when you have people, right, it's kind of like a brain surgeon. There are people who are brain surgeons, right? So they've gone through school, they've done all their studying, they've done their residencies, they've done all of that. And then I come along and I see somebody fall on the ground, and all of a sudden I go get my X-Acto knife and a pair of scissors, and I say they need brain surgery. Right? No.
That's going to happen.
Right? No. You got to consult the people who know. And my question is whether or not these people in Chicago consulted the people who know, or whether or not they just took it upon themselves to try to do something that they thought felt good and that would kind of be salve on their wounds of guilt or whatever.
Well, before I get to Jody call, I'm going to say this. I think they did consult the experts. That's why they came up with this little weak plan. Because what it truly takes for reparations, they're not going to do. Because as Martin Luther King said, oh, yes, they're all for, them not beating and killing us. But in terms of equality, no. This act does not bring on equality, nor does it even bring close to. This is spitting in the ocean and thinking that you're filling it. This is a simple fact of saying, tell me where $10 million in 10 years covers the fact of the simple covers the matter of fact that they have restricted somebody and restricted generational wealth by oppressing their property. That's how white people had come into wealth, owning property, developing it, changing it, letting it grow, selling it, and then building on. Yet we're talking decades of this, and they say that, to repair that, all we need is a simple $10 million. No, they consulted the experts. The experts told them the numbers. They got scared and said, well, why don't we just give them this? Just like, when they kill a black guy, they say, okay, we're sorry. We're going to let you paint Black Lives Matter in the street, okay? It doesn't do anything. Too little, too late.
Yeah, so I'm deeply concerned because they're saying also in the article, read what the article says, this is a blueprint. They said this could be a blueprint. That's scary. That is very scary. And the scariest part for me, Vincent, so these are the ameliorations that Dr. King was talking about, right? When you don't have all hands on deck, right? This will just lead to more amelioration. So,
correct.
So,
see, the scariest part for me is that this is the blueprint for, okay, we're no longer they're used to our system of the delusion of inclusion. So now we're going to give them the delusion of reparation.
I think this is what I think. I think that folks should be organized around determining who should be at the table for every conversation around reparations. Just like unions, right? Just like unions have union leaders, right? So if there's a skirmish that goes on somewhere, then you call the people who are part of the leadership, right, to be able to go and negotiate, right? I think that foundational Black Americans, right, whether the 1619 group, whether we call it ADOS, whatever it is, we need to unionize like that. Right? Where we say, you know what? The only people who can speak about reparations are these people. Nobody else. I think that we do that. I think that it has to be done. Then you can have some continuity. But as long as you got Joe Blow over there and Mary Jane over there and somebody else who doesn't read a goddamn book and understand anything talking about reparations in a way that they don't know how to talk about it, and they are in positions of authority to be able to pass legislation, that is dangerous. That is dangerous. What is the guideline? That's what we should be asking instead of celebrating. So I'm watching, again, Gayle King this morning. Right? And she's sitting going, oh, that's a great first step. Based on what? Based on what? What are you measuring it against to say it's a great step?
Oh, you're measuring it. I think the first step is saying that there's a need for reparations. That's a great first step. Now, the real step for them is to say, okay, how much do we compensate them for their loss? And I can tell you, whoever came up with that $10 million in 10 years, yeah, wasn't a black man. Wasn't a man who suffered. Wasn't someone who grandfathers were dealt with the injustices. Definitely wasn't. The problem that we have is right now we've got the criminals dictating how they're going to pay you back.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. And without causing them pain. Right?
No.
So, yeah, no.
Because causing them pain means that we are now getting into true equality.
That's right. So they're trying to. So you've got. So, and again, I'm going to Martin right now. He says, "Look, this ain't gonna happen unless there's tremendous sacrifice." He said, "This is not gonna happen unless there's that there's going to have to be a cataclysmic, collision, right?" In war, in order to get this done, not skirmishes. That's what he said. And so when I look at this, I'm like, that's not cataclysmic, right? That's feel good, right? So people on the one side, and they're taking into consideration. Trust me, they're taking into consideration too white fragility. Right? We don't, on that side, we know there are going to be some hurt feelings if we really push for equality. There are going to be some hurt feelings over there. So what we're going to do is these are going to be some ameliorations, right? So we're going to go beyond, because we know over here there are hurt feelings too. So how do we come into a room and negotiate so that everybody's happy? Everybody's going to be happy. Everybody's not going to be happy. And we have to understand that. But if you're coming from the position where you want to repair these people without offending folks who believe that they are entitled, that's not going to happen. And that's what they tried to do in Chicago. And then they call it reparations. And that's where I'm saying that's dangerous. No, don't call it reparations. Reparations is something else. Right? Reparations is understanding. And so where she said, oh, this isn't for chattel slavery and it's not for, well, that's the word reparations is for. That's what it's for. So then call this something else, but don't call it reparations. That's why there's confusion. That's why you had to say, well, see, this isn't for that. Well, then call it something else. See, you can't tell me that I have a jar of marinara sauce that's not for spaghetti. Then call it something else. Don't call it marinara sauce, because then I'm confused. Because then I'm going to use it for spaghetti. But if it's not supposed to be used for spaghetti, don't call it marinara sauce.
No, this is when the abusive husband whoops his wife's behind, and then goes back and gets her some $5 flowers at the Wawa.
This is not reparations. Don't call it reparations. You can call it some sort of a fair housing legislation, right? Right? You can do that. Do you understand what I'm saying, Vincent? So I'm saying we'll take the money, but not under reparations. We'll take it so I understand. So where Gail King said, "Oh, people need help." Yeah, they do. I get it. And those people who are wronged by racist laws, right? They need help, right? Yep, we understand that they were denied being able to amass wealth through home ownership. Yep, got that. But don't call what you're doing reparations. Right? So, see, because if I went around, think about it. Are you suggesting then, Evanston, that if you went around and gave every black person in Evanston $1,000 or $2,000 tomorrow, that would be reparations? No, but it would certainly be a stimulus for them. Right? It would be a stimulus. Got that. And I wouldn't say, hey, we wouldn't welcome it. But I'm not welcoming it under the guise of reparations. Just like I didn't welcome Obama being elected as reparations, which is what Mitch McConnell wanted you to do. Right? He said, now you got your So they're trying to figure out, understand this. They're trying to figure out how to dilute it, how to confuse it.
Mm-hmm.
See, so now you got it. And then trust me, you're going to have those guys in the Senate now, the Lindsey Grahams and the rest of them going, see, Chicago, that's reparations. And they may be very happy when they look at it. When they look at that, they may be very happy and going, yo, we could emulate this across the country, right? It won't harm us. We won't make any sacrifices that Dr. King said are imperative. He said that white America has not felt the full brunt of justice. Right? Right? And he said that is required. That what is going to be required in order to do this is going to be that to structurally change society. This isn't structurally changing anything. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And I am telling you, we need to identify and promote people and say, unless you are certified to talk about reparations, sit your ass down. Don't you go and negotiate no bullshit for me. And then call it reparations. Yo, man, listen, we better get on our game. We got black people. Black people who don't know a goddamn thing. I'm telling you. Right? But this is Ayanna Pressley saying no more black faces in these places where you are not focused on our issues. Immerse yourself in the pain and in the suffering of 400 years. And then you tell me, is that reparations? Would you attach that to it? Like you said, Vincent, I'm not going to take a freaking piece of no frills toilet paper, put it on a wound and call it a Band-Aid. No, it's toilet paper on a wound. And yeah, it might serve some initial purpose right now, but it's still not a Band-Aid. I still need a Band-Aid. How many people tell you, yo, you did that, but I still need a Band-Aid? Or somebody falls and you wrap something around them, they tell you what? I still need to go to the hospital. What you did isn't enough for me. I still need to go to the hospital. You weren't the hospital. This ain't reparations.
Here is a point that's really going to burn your butt, Eric. Just as passionate as you are about this and saying that this is nothing, it's not enough.
No, I didn't say it's nothing. Nope, I did not say that.
Okay.
I said it's not reparations. I said we can call it a stimulus. We can call it something else. It certainly is something. It is not reparations.
Well, I digress. Just as you're saying that this is not reparation, there are a group of black people going, shut your mouth, I want my $25,000.
No, I get it. And they should want their $25,000. I'm just trying to wake them up to say, don't let them fool you and have you going around calling it reparations. Because this is how they infiltrate. Understand this. This is how they infiltrate ADOS. This is how they infiltrate the 1619 group, because they give you that money and then now it's maximum sophisticated confusion. Because now you're arguing with me about what reparations means. I'm saying take their money, but don't call it reparations. That's all I'm saying. And it's not semantics. Trust me. Trust me. See, just look, I'm going to tell you. This is how insidious they are. And you go look this up. When they were calling global warming, they were getting pushback. So they changed the name from global warming to climate change. Right? They sat in a think tank. And it's the same thing, right? They said, let's just change it to climate change. We'll get less pushback. We'll get more buy-in. And so what I'm saying to you is this. Words matter. Words matter. Narratives matter. And what they're trying to do is shift the narrative and water down reparations. Because what I tell you, the corporation white supremacy never loses. So the corporation white supremacy is going, okay, this is on the table now. They're talking about it all over the place. They're talking about white supremacy. They're talking about white privilege. They're talking about reparations. They're talking about Black Lives Matter. How do we get in control of the narrative? That's what they're doing. And they say the first way to get in control of the narrative is to get black people on board who don't understand what it really is. But they want to be important. So we'll make them important. We'll give them press coverage. We'll give them titles. We'll give them everything. Because we know that they're not reading, and we know they're not really focused on the real issue. They're not focused on the cataclysmic war. They're focused on the skirmish. And as such, they'll be happy with these ameliorations. Paintings on the street. Other little things like that. Little trinkets. Right? We can get them confused. Because they're childlike in their thinking. And now, you got black people. Black people who are now saying, this is reparations. You understand what I'm saying? And then, yes, you have me arguing with a black person about what reparations is. So the corporation white supremacy is winning again. Because we can't even get on the same damn page. What did I say in the book? That King said in the book. He said that there is a fundamental difference in language about equality between whites and blacks. I think that there is a fundamental breakdown in communication between blacks and blacks. Forget about whites and blacks. We can't even get on the same page. So how are we going to go have a conversation about, literally, it's like the Bad News Bears calling the play in a huddle. Writing it down in the dirt with a stick. And then we break the huddle and then we line up and then everybody forgot to play. Come on. Who's the quarterback? We don't have one.
I thought you cranked yourself up with that one.
You understand what I'm saying? This is crazy, people. And like I'm See, I don't want you to get distracted. Take the money. Don't call it reparations. Tell them don't call it reparations. And watch this. If you did that, guess what? They pull back. You probably wouldn't get the money. Now, do you understand what I'm saying? So, because the money is attached to you agreeing to call it reparations.
Right. It's where they give you that lowball settlement. They put that big check in front of your face and say, okay, now sign off on this. Because in all reality, if you use a real attorney, you get some real money. But no, they hang that little carrot in front of you so that you can sign off on it and they can be absolved.
And then what they do, usually when you have those kind of things, they have you sign a clause that you can't, a non-disclosure clause, right? So now it's done. You can't talk about it anymore.
There you go.
Right? And that's exactly what this is, right? So you can't really talk about, so once you do this, you can't talk about reparations up here anymore. See, this, like they said, this will be the blueprint. So this is what reparations looks like now. From now on, once you sign this, this is what reparations looks like right now. So anybody else who talks about reparations, we're going to point back to Evanston, and we're going to say that's reparations now. Not all this other stuff. Not these $23 trillion that y'all was talking about. No. You accepted this over here. Black people accepted this over here. Come on now. Come on.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have the Eric Dawson Soapbox, performed by Eric Dawson.
No, well, you know, if you want to minimalize it like that, but it's a big.
I just want you to get your blood pressure.
It's a big thing, man. It is a big thing, and until we understand that, literally night and day, they're trying to figure out, like Jody. So this is just another battlefront now. And this is why I'm saying, why we said yesterday, we don't have time. So they're posting the board. Look at what's happening. They're posting the border stuff every day now on the news. They're posting the Asian attacks on the news all the time, right? Meanwhile, we are under attack. The very word, the very term, the very meaning of reparations is under attack right now. Understand that. It has been under attack. But now, see, we saw it. We were offended, right? When McConnell said, yo, you got a black president, you got your reparations. We were offended. Why? Because that was a message delivered by a white man. Right? We were offended when Lindsey Graham said, well, this is what reparations looks like, right? Why? Because we had already painted Lindsey Graham as a racist, right? And we said that's offensive. But now you got black people going, this is reparations. And we're like, okay, follow what I'm saying to you. So they said we can't change reparations with black people, with white people. We got to change reparations. We got to change the meaning of it with black people. So we got to send black. We can't. They said McConnell, you can't go out there and tell them that was reparations. They already know you and your motives.
Well, the reparations have been under attack. February 3rd, 2021, when Biden now empowered the committee to get the points of reparation moving forward.
Oh God, don't do that, Vincent. Vincent, don't do that, Vincent.
No, well, Eric, let me finish before you dismiss it. So everybody now is trying to get ahead of it so that they can determine what or change the narrative of reparation should be.
Vincent, you know what? So I'm going to say this to you again. There are people who studied reparations, right? You had HR 40, and yeah, people have been studying reparations. So my question is, I'm going to say the same thing. When I look in the room, are those people there? Right? And the answer is no. The answer is no. So you talk about Biden. I'm saying no. Those people are not there. They're not there driving this ship either. Biden is making the determination. Right? Biden is so on a higher scale, on a higher level than Evanston. So where this councilwoman said This is not. Let me now. Let me finish. Right? You said let you finish. Right? We got. Okay. I don't want to do that anymore, Vincent. Right? We just got to agree that we're going to have decorum. Right? So this woman, this councilwoman, the dissenting voice said, I have a problem with this because this is not self-determination. Right? And what I'm saying, when I look at the Biden administration, right, and outside of them, you have all these people who have studied reparations. I'm saying, well, they're not being called to the table. Biden has picked the people that he wants, right? So it's still limiting, right? Because he's picked the people he wants, not the people who are already there, and bringing those people to the table. See, because then that's self-determining, because they've done the work. And then they now you negotiate and you debate and you go back and forth. But when Biden stacks the deck with his people, and all of those people that he's stacking the deck with have an understanding of what he wants to do, then it's not self-determining. It's what Biden has determined. That's what I'm saying. So bring those people who were there, who've been on the forefront of this. Where are they? None of them. None of them. Not yet. But they should be there day one.
Yeah, they are there. The HR 40 representation bill is with the team for Biden's reparations.
Who is the team? Who's the team? That's what I'm asking you. Who is the team?
The team consists of 13 congressmen and 22 reparation experts from.
No, but I'm asking you, who are they? Listen, I'm not saying that they are not experts, that he hasn't proclaimed some people experts, and that he doesn't have a team. I'm saying, who are they?
It doesn't say.
There we go.
Also, there are 22.
So my question is, how are you defending?
Eric, breathe. Here is one name that they did give from the House of Representatives. John Coyer, Democrat of Michigan, and 23 other representatives co-sponsored the bill. It was reintroduced in 2019 and adopted by Biden's recent administration.
So my question is this, and I'm going to ask you this question honestly. How are you defending people you don't even know? So you don't even know. I said, who are the team? You don't know them, and you're defending them. How does that happen? I asked you, I said to you, well then who are they? If you're going to defend them, who are they? You said, I don't know.
Eric.
You said, but I know one that you're reading off of a Google thing or something.
I'm not going to sit up here and give you information that I don't know.
Right, so then how do you defend them?
While I am looking up who are the official names, have a little patience, brother. Breathe.
All right, while you read them, call it go.
Good morning, Jody.
So one, the HR 40 bill is a commission, right, to study reparations.
Right.
They've done that, right? They're just going to keep on studying. Anyway, I wanted to call so I could clarify something I said yesterday, because I love to clarify myself. So I said that 50 argument about 50 votes, 60 votes. So, yeah, it's a 60 vote, right? But like I said, but normally bills are passed with 60 votes. But like I said, reconciliation is used for votes with money, because so we're going to give you if you get $100,000, if you make $100,000, then you get the check, the stimulus check. So they can negotiate that down to $75,000, right? But you can't negotiate on voters' rights, right? What are we going to say? Okay, we'll give up this right. We'll give up this right, so you guys can agree on it. So that is why that is considered a bill that must pass with 60, because once you go in the back and do reconciliation on things like immigration, voters' rights, those kind of bills, then you're taking away someone's right to vote or someone's status for immigration. I just wanted to clarify that, right? So that I can then say again that, so that the holdup and the reason why this bill hasn't hit the floor, my brother Eddie Glaude said it best yesterday. He said if Biden doesn't get himself together, there's going to be a reckoning against him. It's time for him to pay up. It's time for him to pay for all of those black bodies that they ordered to the polls with that voters' rights act. but they already have made the announcement that before Voters' Rights Act, we're going to do a $1.9 trillion bill for infrastructure. And that is the problem. And that's all I was trying to say yesterday, was that there shouldn't be anything more pressing. There shouldn't be anything more important. It is what got him there, and you would think that the President of the United States that was gotten there by that black vote would respect that black vote enough to make that the next bill. I'm done.
Great. I'm glad we agree on something.
So, thank you for that, Jody. So my thing again is I think that we need to have standards, right? As we go down this path of reparations, right? We need to have standards. We need to have standards when determining who is an expert, who isn't an expert, right? Who should be talking, who shouldn't be talking. And then because it is something that is going to determine our future, we can't be hesitant in telling people to sit down. Shut up. You don't know what the F you talking about. We got to do that. And we can't be celebrating people who are trying to short us. We can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the game that's being played right now. And so, like I said, even looking at Gayle King today, right? Because her and her platform, for her to say that this is a good step, that's dangerous. Based on what, Gayle? Based on what? Now, what I would have preferred Gayle to do, right? But we understand the network she works for too, right? Let's bring one of these highly qualified people on, which they didn't have, by the way, right? They had Gayle on, and they had the two white guys and the white woman on this morning, and then they analyzed the conversation that went on about. No, they had Gayle, they had the other black bald guy, and they had two white guys, right? So it was his segment to talk about it, and then the two white guys weighed in heavily on this being a great thing, right? And then Gayle said it was a great first step. And I'm going, so where are the other voices, Gayle, that you have on your set that are talking about reparations, the way that they've been talking about it for the last 4 or so decades. Where are those people? See, they were absent, right?
Talked about yesterday. You don't think that those messaging or messages that you hear are strategized to that?
Oh no, I do. It was rhetorical, sis.
Yeah.
It was rhetorical. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is strategy, right? And like I said, here's what I think the strategy is. Part of it. Think about when reparations first started. When it first bubbled up, last few years, right? Or most recently bubbled up over the last few years. The first thing that came out was, we're not giving you money, right? So white fragility jumped up. We ain't giving you money. Well, I wasn't alive when that happened. Right? So they had it all confused at first, right? They didn't know how to handle it. Because they didn't really understand what the conversation was around reparations. Now they are learning the language, and they're saying, now, okay, how do we retool our narrative to address this? And part of it is redefining reparations. That's what they're trying to do right now. Redefine it, right? And what they understand is that there's a lot of pain in the bottom community, right? And so people want money. So they see people jumping for the $1,400 stimulus checks. They see people jumping for the $600 stimulus checks. So how much higher is somebody going to jump for $25,000, right? But now, if I say when you jump for the $25,000, you got to call it reparations. right? And now they say, okay, because I need to pay these bills, I need to do this thing, so I'm going to call it what you want me to call it. I'll call it reparations. Now it sets what they call, in legal terms, precedents, right? See, so now you have a group of people in Evanston who signed off as this being reparations. So now you can pit Evanston against another community somewhere else where these people call it reparations. Right? And as everybody is now saying, this is the blueprint. This can be the blueprint. Language matters.
Mind, the people who are saying that this could be the blueprint are the white oppressors.
Yes.
And yeah, they're saying this is how we can sidetrack actually dealing with a loss or suffering due to the acts of our grandfathers.
Yo, so I'm saying
Can I
again.
ask you a question, Eric?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you really think it's the white supremacists, or do you think it's the party?
No, so understand, at the very top of the food chain is always the corporation white supremacy. Always.
Absolutely.
At the very top. And then the messaging goes down from there, right? So they set the chessboard with all of the pieces that they ultimately move. Some they knock off, right? The other ones they move. But they're all pieces that they set up, whites and blacks. And so now as it's moving, and then understand it all moves in these different ways, right? So once Evanston did this, right? And now I got to go and trace back all of the movement that led to this, right? But I have no doubt that it didn't gestate at this level, right? It was at some other level where people were having conversations. And even if they infiltrated and then made it seem like it was somebody else's ultimate decision, like, or idea, right? They do that well too. Like supplant this idea, and then you walk out going, yeah, that was my idea, right? Because they know that at the end you got to be the front man. They can't be the front man. They can't take that to the thing, to the table of a black community. They got to have somebody else take it, because otherwise it'll smell rotten, right? It'll look rotten, and it won't be accepted. So I think that at the highest level, the corporation white supremacy trying to figure out how to dilute what reparations means, because I think that they understand that something's gonna have to give, right? So they're trying to mitigate damage now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so something's got to give. They got to mitigate damage. And like Dr. Glaude said, like you said, I didn't watch it, but like you said, he said, so, look, there's going to be a reckoning. There's going to be a reckoning. Right? And so they're going, well, okay, so the way that we can deal with this uprising that's happening in the servants' quarters is we got to give them something. We got to give them something. And so they're looking at what to give them. But then they said, you know what? We're not just going to give them this. We can kill two birds with one stone, right? We can give them this thing, which is a relief. And like I said, I had no problem. I understand it. If 25,000 is going to go out to people and they're going to be able to secure a home or pay a mortgage or do repairs on a home, right? I think that's all good stuff.
That's not reparation.
The devil is in the details of calling it reparations. That's it.
There you go.
That is it. That is my only issue. But they say we can kill two birds with one stone. We can appease the community by giving them this, and we can get them to self-destruct by calling it reparations.
Yeah, I mean, that reparations amount is the equivalent of giving a starving man an extra slice of bread. It doesn't do very much about his condition. And so why would you call it reparation? True reparation, as Dr. King said, requires that great sacrifice, in which he also said white people aren't prepared to pay.
Right. And they still ain't. He said that they're not psychologically. He said white America is not psychologically ready.
Oh no.
So when you understand that, do you think all of a sudden they were ready in Chicago? Really?
But isn't it strange, right, that it is Chicago, right?
Yes.
So maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist in my soul, but the fact that it is Chicago, the fact that Gayle King is the messenger, to me, is the Democratic Party, right? To me. That's just me. Why Chicago, where my boy Obama comes from? Why make that the epicenter? Why make Gayle King the messenger? Why?
Because Chicago is also the epicenter of the Dixiecrats. Because Chicago has always been that division between the North and the South, or was it the East and the West? One of those. But and because Chicago has always been those white people who have been quote unquote saying that they're doing great things for black people, and black people have just been taking it. But this is the whole different. This is where they're going wrong in their in their ideology. This period of racial unfairness and awakening due to COVID and other incidents that have taken place, it has now gotten people more vested into researching, understanding, and looking at, as Eric said, the details where the devil truly is. And all they're doing is this: that white fragility is saying, we just need to get ahead of this before we really have to suffer.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. We got to get ahead of this. We got to change the narrative. We got to do something. Otherwise, yes, that's exactly right. And so, and then because of our suffering, right? Some of us are ready to be distracted by the $25,000. I'm saying take the 20.
There you go.
I can't make it.
Ain't going to turn down a slice of bread.
Right, and I'm not saying turn it down. Understand what I'm saying? Don't turn it down, but don't call it reparations. That's all I'm saying. Don't not take it. And I think that the councilwoman, that from her platform, she should have said that. She should have said, look, I'm voting against this on the fact that it's not reparations. However, I will tell every resident that qualifies under these standards to take the money, buy a house if they can, make improvements on the house that they have, or pay the mortgage on the house that they have. Do those things. But please do not call it reparations. That's what I would tell them. In fact, I would have a movement where they sign a petition not to call it reparations. See, so now, understand where we're at. And I'm telling you, there would be holy hell to pay in Evanston. Because those people would push back and be like, and you talk about white fragility? Oh, you'd see it rear its ugly head. They'd say, what would they say? Oh, these uppity niggas, they ain't satisfied. We try to do something for them and they ain't satisfied. Because they want to set the terms. Like she said, they want to set the terms. No, it should be self-determinative. No, I'm not satisfied, but I'll take it. This is something on what you owe me, but ain't all of what you owe me. You just put something on it. That's it. And we have to be bold enough to say that.
Just put something on it like our parents used to do with our school clothes in the summer.
Yeah. You. This is your layaway plan. Yeah, but it ain't paid off. It ain't paid off.
But every paycheck you go down to what was it called when my parents got Lane Bryant's, and you just put something on it.
Yeah, that's that. But that's all they're doing, and we got to say that. But don't be running around screaming and hollering, dancing that you're gonna get $25,000 calling reparations. Don't do that. You're hurting the cause. You're hurting the cause.
And yourself.
Well, listen, thank you guys. This was the fastest 2 hours, man. Enjoy the day. It's going to be like 66, 67 today. Enjoy it. I'm off tomorrow, but then we'll be back on Thursday, and we're going to continue this. Eyes wide open, guys. Positive affirmations for today. All right? Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you all. God bless.